to the channel. This is Have Roots, Will Travel. My name is Lisa Elvin Stoltari, and I'm a genealogist and a passionate traveler. Over the last year, I have been focusing my attention on Les Filles à Marier to go along with my other series that I've been doing for several years, Les Filles du Roi. The marriageable girls, Les Filles à Marier, is something that has intrigued me for many years. I am excited to be able to continue to pursue these stories with you. But before we get to episode number 52 that we are doing, let us see how you can support the channel. The first three keep you in the know. Subscribe, like, and notify. The next three are ways to help the channel grow. Coffee, Patreon, and PayPal are all ways that you can help the channel. PayPal is on my website, Have Roots Will Travel, and Coffee and Patreon, I've provided the links for you to explore how you might want to contribute. Thank you to everyone who has contributed thus far. Truly appreciate your support. Let's get started and get to know everything about Les Filles à Marier. Les Filles à Marier, or the marriageable girls, came between 1634 and 1662. They were the precursor to Les Filles du Roi, the king's daughters. But it was not a government program, Les Filles à Marier. It was just a kind of a group of ladies, one at a time, two at a time. They didn't know each other, and it was just kind of, they came to New France to get married, and at least they would have the choice of a husband, and they would have the promise of a new life. These were extraordinary women who didn't need the government money. They were paid, the passage was paid, but they needed to build a life. And many of them didn't have those options in France. And so they got their courage together and got on that ship. Now, 1634, you can imagine, that's the time that Trois-Rivières was founded. This is the very, very beginning of New France, if you will. They had just taken over from the British, who had captured them in 1629. So it was a very beginning. And so by 1662, the program, or lack thereof, indicated that they needed more women to come across, because there were about 262 over about a 28-year period. That isn't enough to found a country, if you will. They just couldn't, of themselves, build a nation quickly and sustainable. So let's have a look, though, at these early pioneers and what they produced and gave to New France. So number 52 of Les Filles à Marier is about Marie-Noelle Landeau. She is a viewer request. I do not have her in any of my files, so it was a pleasure to get to know Marie-Noelle. So Marie-Noelle was born in 1638 in the commune of José, France. Her parents were Jean Landeau and Marie Aubert. Now, José is from the Pays de la Loire region of France and inside of the département or county of Sarthe. There are about 81 people that live there now. It's a very, very small community. And the church is called Saint Barthélemy and has existed definitely since the 15th century. Marie-Noelle would come to New France and would arrive sometime in 1659. We do not know if her parents had passed away. We just know that she was in New France at that time. So the groom that she selected, and who selected her, his name, Jean Baudouin. And he was born in 1635 in a small commune called Courchevel in the Pays de la Loire, in the region of the département of Sarthe. His parents were Jacques Baudouin and Madeleine Pichon. Now, so the brother of Madeleine Baudouin, who was a fille à marier, and also the brother of René Baudouin, who married a fille du roi, Marie Reclus. So one of the things I wanted to make sure to let you know is that when I saw they were both from Pays de la Loire, okay, that's good, and they're both from the Sarthe département, I'm like, how close are those two villages? Well, it turns out 1.5 miles. So the connection to New France with his brother and his sister, and also the fact that they're so close, I don't know. I have a feeling they knew each other. I also want to point out the Church of Saint Brice de Courchevel was built in the 11th century and completed, renovated in the 15th and 16th century. The Castle of Courchevel was built at the end of the 16th and finished around 1629. So this is a very historic place that he is from. 12th, 1659, Marie-Noelle and Jean were married at Trois-Rivières, and that is their marriage record. They were truly pioneers at Trois-Rivières. Trois-Rivières is only the second settlement of New France. It was named Trois-Rivières because the St. Maurice River has three channels that form at the mouth of the St. Lawrence. Trois-Rivières is French for three rivers. And one of the very reasons why it became such a prominent place is that it's a very strategic location on the St. Lawrence, and it helped Quebec and the new nation grow. It also proved to be an important battle in the American Revolution, the Battle of Three Rivers. Some of you who have ancestors in this area at this time might be surprised at who would qualify for admission to the daughters or sons of the American Revolution. So they would have two children, Louis, who would die at age 5, and Madeleine, who would marry Martin Foisy and have 6 children, all of whom would make it to adulthood. Jean would pass away before his daughter Madeleine's birth in April of 1662. This would mean that he would have passed away probably around the age of 27 or 28, and generally speaking at that age it probably was accidentally. And this meant that Marie-Noelle would be left with 2 children, all alone, in a brand new country. The groom that would help her, his name, Louis Tétrault, and he was born in 1635 in Noelle, France. His parents were Maître Tétrault and Marie Bernard. Now, he is from the Nouvelle-Aquitaine region of France, and the département, or county, is Deux-Sèvres. There are approximately 685 people who live there now, so it's a very small commune. Remember, the commune is a village. The church is Saint-Martin, and it was built in 1113, redone in the 12th century, and after a major fire in 1875, they rebuilt the church. The church bells are from that very, very old. They're from that period, so that part has remained. Very, very picturesque part of France, as they all are, really. Now, Louis had arrived in New France about 1660 and had land and was a farmer. So he had been farming the land. He had something to offer to Marie-Noelle. And on June 9th, 1663, they were married at Trois-Rivières. So the second family would begin. They would have 9 children in all. We have Marie, who would marry Pierre Marais, Desmarais, and have 12 children, 9 of whom made it to adulthood. Claude would die at 27, killed by Iroquois. Louis would marry Geneviève Brunet and have 1 child, who would survive him, before his early death at 30. Jacques would marry Marguerite Brunet and have 10 children, 8 of whom would make it to adulthood. Danielle would marry Catherine Charon and have 7 children, 4 of whom would make it. Marie-Françoise would marry Laurent Benoit and have 13 children, 9 of whom would make it. Joseph would marry Anne Jarret and have 13 children, all of whom would make it. And at age 69, he married 28-year-old Madeleine Vanasse and had 2 more children, both of whom survived him. Michel would pass away at age 3. Jean-Baptiste would marry Marie-Jeanne Tétrault and have 4 children, 2 of whom would make it to adulthood. So in the 1666 census, we have Louis, Noelle, we have Magdalene Baudouin, so you can see that that is from her former marriage, Marie Tétrault, and then they have 2 domestics. They have a Jacques Boissonnet and a Jean Monnet. So that's interesting, just gives you some idea of perhaps his standing in the community. Cap de la Madeleine is one of the most beautiful places in the province of Quebec. It was founded in March of 20th, 1651, and this is where we find the family in the next census of 1667. Let's talk a little bit about Cap de la Madeleine. It is famous for the Basilique Notre-Dame du Cap. which has performed miracles. There are two known miracles at this site, Miracle of the Ice Bridge and Miracle of the Eyes from 1879 and 1888. People come here, pilgrimage have come here since 1883, and this is definitely a place you need to visit. Cap de la Madeleine, as you can see, is very, very close to Trois-Rivières. It's part of the Trois-Rivières environment. I always like to show this picture of Cap de la Madeleine because I imagine this is what they would have seen back even in the 1600s and 1700s. In the 1667 census, we have Louis Tétrault, Noelle Landeau, Marie Baudouin, and Marie Restaurant, 3 years away. Claude is now on that census. They have one bétail, which is one goat, and only 5 enfants valeurs at this point. So that's about 3 to 4 acres of land because they've moved. Possibly he's sold some property, that sort of thing. So we find the family at Champlain. The Champlain municipality lies on the territory of the former seigneuries of Marsolet and L'Arbre à la Croix, which were both granted in 1644, and the Seigneurie of Champlain was granted in 1664. The first French occupants of Champlain settled in about 1664 or 65. There had been a first attempt to settle on this land in 1643, but the distance from the other settlements and the Iroquois threat discouraged this settlement to actually exist. By 1664, the first settlers arrived and established settlements in the land of the Seigneurie of Champlain. The following year, in 1666, concessions were granted in the Seigneurie of Hertel, and in 1667, the Seigneurie of Marsolet. Some of the first families came from Trois-Rivières, such as the families of Desrosiers, François Chorel, and Pierre d'Ardonneau. The Tétrauts were definitely among those pioneers as well. So we have the 1681 census. We have Louis, Marie Noelle, their children. We have Marie, Claude, Louis, Jacques, Daniel, Marie, Joseph. Michel is 3 months old. We have 1 gun, we have 9 goats, and 18 enfants, 16 acres of land approximately. He would pass away first at the age of 64. He and Marie Noelle would have been married 36 years. It is thought that he died from the epidemic that was occurring at that time due to the fact that he was buried on the very same day, and he is buried at Champlain. For reasons I don't yet know, Marie Noelle was buried at Montreal, possibly having gone to live with one of her children. She was 68 years old, and she and her 2 husbands would leave 233 descendants as of 1729. Here's a lasting tribute to the Noël Landeau that is done by the Association des Descendants de Louis Tétrault. Beautiful plaque. And you can find that on the website that I'm going to show you next. There is an Association des Descendants de Louis Tétrault, and it is fabulous. Please have a look at it. It really does cover so much ground. If you are a descendant, you need to explore this website. Another source of information about Louis and Marie Noelle will be found in our French-Canadian Ancestors, Volume 16. You can go to the Facebook group and download a copy of that particular edition for free, as long as you enroll in the Facebook group. You can also try to find those volumes at the library. They're very, very hard to get. So have a look and see if you can benefit from this particular Facebook group. They're fabulous, by the way. All the research they do, it's really good. And here are some resources that I love to share. I want to spotlight WikiTree this time around. WikiTree just keeps on giving. It really is a remarkable site for genealogists to confer. It's free, and you can input the data. Like all websites, you need to verify and double check the information, but they do a very good job of verifying and double checking their information, which is the kind of their MO, if you will. So love that site. Please check it out. And all the other sites as well that I've listed in the notes. So we come to the end of episode 237. Marie-Noelle Landeau lived a remarkable life. I mean, not only did she produce 233 descendants, but she also lived in a few different places. So she started off in Trois-Rivières, went to Cap de la Madeleine, and then was also at Champlain, was an early pioneer in all these places, and then ended her life in Montreal. So we see a woman who wasn't afraid to take chances, to keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. And for that, we thank her for her contribution, for her steadfastness, and for her strength. We bless her memory, because without her, so many of her descendants would not exist. Thank you, Marie-Noelle. We bless your memory. And I also want to say thank you for my patrons and supporters. I couldn't do what I do without your support and your encouragement. Thank you so much to all my patrons, my supporters, and my subscribers. All of you contribute to the work I do. Thank you ever so much. So I will see you on episode 238. Until then, au revoir.